Hello everyone. Today we will see about how we got a experience of this allopathic medicine. It was around 1826. India first time experienced the treatment of allopathy. Allopathy basically an inorganic substance, chemical it is. And earlier, India was having lot of people who were treating the diseases with natural stuff like herbs, food stuff, etc. And they are all called Ayurveda, right? Thousands of years before it was practiced in India. But first time, 100 years before, we had the experience of allopathy. The term allopathy was coined by Samuel Hahnemann, and he was the inventor of homeopathy. And this, basically uses inorganic substance as medicine, that is chemicals, and which is considered as harmful for the body, right? And thereafter, it continued, and the diabetes, BP, etc., were invention of people who are all practicing allopathy only. They only first coined this term diabetes and BP, etc. And it's not until 1960s or 70s the term diabetes was not known to people. How it has come means, if we dig out, we will be able to find out. That is, the blood sugar, when it exceeds more than 160 or something like that, then they found we have certain symptoms accompanied by this blood sugar increase, and they introduced some medicines to counteract that. But if you see that the medicine which is used, that the name of the medicine at that time was metformin. Even now they use this medicine, but by introducing that, doctors were showing it the sugar level coming down. But actually the process is, what they show is, the sugar level comes down, you are becoming all right. That is what they projected, which is totally absolutely wrong. Actually, the carbohydrate, when we take in, what happens is this, the energy from the carbohydrate, if it has to go to blood, means we need to have a insulin that is produced by the pancreas. Because of insulin only, that energy is transferred. It's a switch actually which is required to transfer the energy. That's the only thing required. But what happens, people were taking more than required quantity of carbohydrate, because at the time the staple food was rice and wheat, which is having 90% carbohydrate. So when you take more of rice and wheat, actually what happens, it doesn't have any other nutrient, because rice was polished. Even wheat, essential things were removed. The skin and other things were removed. Only carbohydrate was left, because of which the food is totally carbohydrate, so it required more of insulin to transfer all the energy, which is not possible, right? Body requires only little quantity, right? How much of energy to be spent in a day? Over a day, it is on an average 2000 calories or what. That is what is required for a person to perform the daily routine work. So for that, if we calculate how much grams of rice or wheat should be consumed, there is a limited one. More we consume means it will not be absorbed, and it will remain in the body. It will be stored up, right? And it will increase the weight. That is the only thing we need to know. But they wanted to show that by taking a chemical, we become all right, which is absolutely wrong and absurd. But that was what happened. And because of which, we people started consuming the medicine continuously. And then they also spread a rumor that once you start with the medicine, then you have to continue for lifelong. Diabetes will not be cured. This is what they spread because they wanted people to use this medicine. And this theory was, concocted because of drug industry. The doctors colluded with the drug industry and they started promoting the medicine. Indirectly, they were selling the medicines, right? So this created, a lifestyle disease called diabetes, and disease has come because of taking the medicine only. If they are not taken the medicine, only weight would have been added. That is the only thing would have happened. The disease would not have come. But taking the medicine, diabetes was created. That is what people should understand. We should understand that. And now many people know it actually now, by now. There are those who are following because they don't have awareness. They don't know how to check it. They don't know how to question the doctor. Right? The logic they were not able to attack. If you question the doctor, automatically he will reply. We tell him, no, why are you asking me to take tablet and does it really remove my diabetes? If you ask them, he will say that no, it will not remove. Then we should take some data and ask them. Then they will keep quiet. Okay. So we have to, proof is there already. Many people are there. Ayurveda and homeopath, they don't recommend taking a metformin. But some people are there, Ayurveda and they also, believe that. That is because, they are brainwashed. They think allopathy is superior. But this not actually, allopathy is actually a disease creator, we can say that. People who are tested, they will know it actually. By taking allopathy, you add up diseases. Hahnemann has clearly specified, by if you follow allopathy, take this, your diseases will be added up. He has published it. He has done research and he is the one inventor of homeopathy. So he knows completely about allopathy. He was an allopathy practitioner in the beginning. Right? But he is the one who first time, in India, other than Ayurveda, he was the one who showed that by treating with homeopathy, you can avoid diseases. You can remove the diseases. So, indirectly, you can cure diseases. That idea was brought by him only. Whereas allopathy considers once you get a disease, that will continue for a lifetime. That is the assumption of allopathy practitioners. Because they made it a business. That is how this practice has been, trusted by some people, and they were supporting this theory, and they landed up with several diseases. So that's what we see here. Because we started consuming more of carbohydrate, and India was also producing more of rice and wheat. From 1967 to 2007, approximately nearing 40 years, right? 40 years, after 40 years of usage of carbohydrate, too much of eating carbohydrate, etc., 2005, one train leaves Batinda from Punjab and reaches, Bikaner of Rajasthan, 300 kilometers. The name of the train was Cancer Express. So these allopathic diseases, starting with diabetes, finally ended up to cancer. Cancer Express was the train, 300 kilometers. So Punjab was the state, where plenty of farmers were there. Okay. If you say farmers means they are all from Punjab, people will know it. From there, people started using allopathy drugs and they developed cancer. So that is the history of, allopathy, along with Green Revolution. So that is the proof of that, allopathy doesn't help us to maintain health.